Good morning! I have a lot of energy this morning because I'm faking it. That's the beauty of video. You can fake it and no one knows. Well, that was a weird way to start the video. A couple days ago, I pulled a very powerful move by walking out on a date. I know that makes me sound kind of an asshole, but let me tell you the story and then you be the judge. I met with this girl on Tinder maybe a week ago, started talking, planned a date for Friday, and about an hour before the date, she messages me saying, "Oh, sorry, I just got back from work, have a really intense headache. Is it okay if we reschedule?" Because I'm not a complete asshole, I'm like, sure, no problem. So we rescheduled the next date for Sunday evening. Something I should mention before we go on is as we were planning the original date for Friday, she asked at some point, "Hey, is it cool if I bring a friend along?" I'm like, "You want to bring a friend on our date?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm just like, "No, it's a date. I don't want to have a chaperone. That would be weird." And she's like, "Oh, okay, no problem. It'll just be the two of us." So I kind of forget all about that until we reschedule the date for Sunday. I show up there, and guess who's there? Her friend. Turns out, I didn't know that her friend was there, obviously, and her friend didn't know that she was inviting a date, which I discovered at some point when the girl I was on a date with went to the bathroom and I was alone with a friend and I asked, like we're speaking, and that's when I discovered she didn't even know. So, show up there, the friend is there, and I'm already thinking like, what the hell just happened? I made it clear that I didn't want to have a chaperone on her date because that's weird. She agreed to it, didn't tell me that her friend was there, and invited me to a date. Already there, I'm like, I considered, should I just walk off? But I'm like, that seems a little extreme. There might be an explanation for this. And I brought it up in conversation, obviously, because I'm not an idiot. And she's like, "Oh, no, like it's normal here." Because I'm like, really? Because to me, seems very strange. And, I've dated while traveling, and never before have I gone on a date with someone and her friend. That's just weird. Anyways, I'm like, let's give it a chance. So, order a drink. Drink gets there, we start talking, and I say talking in air quotes simply because at least 50% of the time, if not more, both the friend and the girl I'm on a date with are on their phone, completely ignoring me. I'm just like, what the fuck is happening right now? She invited me and her friend, even though I made it clear I didn't want a chaperone, and she's just ignoring me and spending her time on her phone. What the hell is going on? And within a couple minutes, I'm like, what am I doing here? It's been 5 minutes. It feels like 3 hours. I should just get the fuck out of here. Unfortunately, in the past, I was a very, shy, people-pleasing person, and I didn't want to cause trouble or make people feel bad, but I've grown. I'm no longer that person. So within the first few minutes, I'm considering, should I just leave? And I don't know, normally in the past, 100% would have stayed. It would have been super awkward half the time, like they're on their phone because they only speak Spanish and my Spanish still isn't perfect. It would have been difficult to communicate. The music was super loud, so it was hard to hear each other. And the friend is there, like making things super awkward. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to be here. So within maybe like 10 minutes, maybe 15, let's say, max amount of time I spent there was 15 minutes. And yeah, it just gets to a point where she's like on her phone, ignoring me, and I'm just like, fuck this, I'm out of here. So I just pull out my phone, type on it because I don't want to bother trying to explain it to her. So I just type out on my phone what I want to say, which is basically, this is clearly not a date. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to leave. I'm going to go pay for my drink, and then I'm out of here. So write that in Google Translate. Don't even bother saying to her. I literally just turn the phone around and show it to her. Wait for her to read it. As soon as she's done, I get up, walk to the bar, wait, pay the tab, and just to prove a point, I not only pay for my drink, but I also pay for their drinks, just to show them, hey, or not them, because, it's not the friend's fault. I can't blame the friend. She has nothing to do with this. But just to prove a point of like, hey, you think you're in the right, but you're not. you're super inconsiderate, super rude, super insensitive, but I'm not. I'm a good person. I'm a gentleman. So I'm going to pay for your fucking drinks and get the fuck out of there because I have too much respect for myself. So that's what I do. And on the way back, I just kind of like pass their table and say, good night. And then I walk. And as I'm waiting for the taxi, I send her, I think, 2 texts just explaining, hey, this is exactly why I left. I made it clear that I was not comfortable having a chaperone on our date. You invited your friend anyway without telling me. You spent more than half your time on your phone rather than speaking to me, which is very rude. That is why I left. And I forget if I was like, don't do that in the past or whatever. I don't think so. I think I would just explain legit, this is why I did it. So it was nice knowing you. Have a nice life. Goodbye. And then she responds a few minutes later saying like, oh no, it's not weird. People do this here all the time. I never go on a date without a friend. And, sorry about being on the phone, like whatever. She's trying to explain it. I'm just like, nope, delete. Like normally I'm not the type to ignore people or ghost people, but this is not ghosting because I said what I had to say. She said she had to say, there was nothing left to say. And, trying to explain anything further would have just made things, well, it would have been a waste of time. So I eventually got a cab, went home. So even though it cost me, I don't know, let's say $20 for the ride there and back and the drinks and stuff, and wasted maybe like an hour and a half of my life, totally fucking worth it because for the first time in a situation like that, I wasn't a bitch, or as my friend likes to refer to people like that, a simp. And I just stood up for myself and didn't let this girl get away with her bullshit, because a lot of girls get away with a lot of shit because guys are too much of pussies to call them out on it. And that used to be me in the past, so I can't judge. But this time I'm like, nope, fuck it, I'm out. And it felt really good. And I don't regret it whatsoever. And I've just noticed that there's a few other occurrences in the last week or so where I did things that in the past I wouldn't have done. So like just another quick example. It's like, I don't know, last week, let's say, match with a girl, we started talking and she's like, oh, I like to take my time and I'm looking for something more serious and blah, 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 blah. It's like, it might not be a good fit because you're traveling and you don't know how long you'll be here. And normally I would have been like, well, I'm looking for someone I can share my life with. And even though I don't know if it could work out or not, normally I'd be like, well, let's give it a chance. This time I'm like, it's obvious it's not going to work out. So we're different people looking for different things. So let's just part ways here and find someone who's a better fit. So just something small like that. In the past, I would have been like, well, let's give it a shot. And we probably wouldn't have went on a date and, would have spent money and spent time and energy and all those things. And it wouldn't have worked out. Whereas now I'm just like, nope, I'm done. And I've noticed a few things like that in the last week that I've started doing. I'm like, okay, wow, I'm really starting to shift my perspective and the way that I approach situations, and that's in a very good way. Because it's like I'm having enough respect for myself that I'm not letting other people get away with their shit, and I'm not letting myself get away with the bullshit that I used to get away with. And what I mean is being a people pleaser, like letting other people not necessarily take advantage of me, just bending backwards to please other people. I'm done with that shit. Like, that doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm sure I'm going to have some relapses, but that one event with that girl and just walking off on the date, that just was kind of like a trigger moment of like, click, okay, I'm no longer who I was before. I'm this person now. And it just felt really, really good. So that was my story of why I worked out on a date. You let me know if I was right or I was wrong. And even if you think I was wrong, it doesn't matter because I know that I did the right thing for me.